You're watching CHCO-TV's gavel-to-gavel coverage of the January 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting for the Municipal District of St. Stephen. I'm Florence Mitchell. Today's meeting begins with a presentation by Vance Johnson on behalf of Quad NB and the Western Charlotte County ATV Club. Under new business, Mayor McEachern will provide a community safety update with a focus on RCMP reports and the Community Wellbeing Task Force. Committee will discuss options for a future skate park. Committee will also discuss draft options to amend the public comment period within the council procedure bylaw. Additionally, committee will review a draft amendment to the Code of Conduct for members of council. Finally, committee will review bylaw L2 regulating peddlers, vendors, transient traders, and buskers. Now let's join committee in the Moosehead Room at the Garcelon Civic Center in St. Stephen.
Okay, welcome to the Municipal District of St. Stephen Committee, the whole agenda. Wednesday, January 14th, 2026 at 6 p.m. We'll call to order. Let's see. Before we begin, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered today on ancestral unceded territory of the Passamaquoddy people. I will start off with a mover and seconder for the agenda of the Committee of the Whole meeting of January 14th, 2026 be approved. So moved. Councillor Harden, Councillor Heislip. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, thank you. Any conflicts of interest this evening? Seeing none. Okay, I'll take another mover and seconder that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on November 12th, 2025, and the Special Committee of the Whole meeting held on November 19th, 2025 be approved as presented. Deputy Mayor Wheaton, Councillor Cornish, any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, thank you. Motion approved. Okay, so I got a Quad New Brunswick and Western Charlotte County at ATV Club, presentation by Vance Johnson.
Thank you.
Quad NB Trail Coordinator.
I am. My name is Vance Johnson. I am the trail coordinator for, excuse me, Quad NB, or the New Brunswick All-Terrain Vehicle Federation. Said we are the parent organization, I guess, appointed by the province of New Brunswick, the Minister of Natural Resources, to oversee and lead the provincial ATV trail network. Our membership consists of 59 ATV clubs throughout the province. Western Charlotte County ATV Club, of course, being one of them. So we are here tonight. You can see the map on the big screen up here. We're here tonight to talk to council in search of support for an application that we will be putting forth to the province of New Brunswick. We got it up here now. Okay, so there we go. Okay. All right, so if you want to take a quick look at that map, that blue line at the top, and who's operating the screen? Is that over here? Okay. If we can, it's probably fine right where it is, but the blue line at the top, you see that runs east-west on the map, that is an application that we will be putting forth to provincial government and gateway operations for a highway usage permit. That is provincial highway that falls under the jurisdiction of DTI or New Brunswick Highway Corporation. So that is to us a major connection from St. Stephen or Western Charlotte County over to the St. George area, which is Charlotte County ATV Club. And that route proposed at this time allows us to connect those two clubs, essentially, excuse me, by using infrastructure that's already in place. So overpasses to cross over the 4-lane and other infrastructure to keep us out of the environmentally sensitive areas, if you will. We've had initial discussions with Gateway and the province on this. This is the initial proposal, so it may tweak a little bit here or there, but the beginning and end points will, at the end of the day, remain the same. You can notice that it comes in, includes a very short portion of Route 3 at the interchange. So that will lead the ATVs into where the Circle K is for fuel, and there's some food there. But again, over the overpass to the other location, McDonald's and the fuel depot there as well. And from the Circle K, there's a short distance on Route 170 that takes you down to the 750 highway where we've used the overpass there. So the connection, the purpose of all these connections is to use that existing infrastructure to get to where we need to be. So we're not infringing on private land, crossing water courses and those sorts of things. The main focus that we wanted to speak about tonight is the red line on the map. And that is essentially, is well, Route 170, but it's going to start at the roundabout or the Route 3 interchange and continue down King Street, Milltown Boulevard, up as far as just past the border crossing to the convenience store. The intent there, of course, is to provide ATV access, the tourists basically access to the downtown core, to the business district and the border crossing, which is essential for us. St. Stephen being one of 5 border crossings identified in the province for ATV tourism traffic. So this is routing at some point. This particular crossing will need access once you're across. You will need access out. Going through the business district is what makes sense. Staying out of the residential areas, of course. But it provides opportunity for anybody crossing from Maine. Once they get through that border, they're basically fully immersed in the business core immediately. As well, just recently we saw the announcement for the hotel, the pending hotel, so that's very timely. Once that occurs, once that is built and in place, then this becomes a destination. So if you're coming from the States across to New Brunswick, this will be a goal. This is where, I want to get to on day 1 or day 2. I want to get across the border, and as soon as I do, I can see my hotel right there. So that's going to be a big boom for the ATV industry, the tourism industry with the state of Maine. Excuse me. So this is the chosen path, this is the one that we're proposing as well, of course. So being the business district, businesses will essentially regulate the traffic. If the business aren't open, there's no need for ATV traffic to be there, sort of thing. It's also a little higher volume traffic than the residential areas, so the normal vehicular traffic flow will regulate the speed. So those things are very important considerations. I know they're very important concerns from the municipality standpoint. I can see you're probably thinking of other concerns as I'm speaking here, but feel free to butt in with any of those questions at any time. So what this does for us, the blue line connects the existing managed trail you see in the upper left-hand corner there, which connects to McAdam, Woodstock, and beyond. This blue line will make that connection following eastward to St. John, Musquash, Lorneville, and beyond, those sorts of things. But we would certainly be remiss to put this into place and not provide access into the downtown core of St. Stephen. This is absolutely, it's a win-win situation, if you will. As we travel, we need access to certain amenities, food and fuel and accommodation, those kinds of things, as well as other business interests for repairs and it's an economic opportunity for the municipality. We have, this is, the request here is support for an application we're making to the province. In other municipalities, the request was directly to the municipality for a bylaw. And the difference being this roadway is under the jurisdiction of the province and not the municipality. So, but typically, basically it's the same kind of thing. There are currently 32 of these bylaws fully in effect in the province today, allowing access into town, into the business core, for the very reasons I spoke about. This will be very similar, except it'll be issued by the province. Again, the red line is a proposal. We think it's the best option for everybody concerned here. But as this progresses, the whole project progresses, there will possibly be some tweaks to this or perhaps not. So we wanted to get this basically in front of you to identify the area, have a quick talk about what it is, what it's going to mean. You'll notice in your packages there was a excerpt from our latest economic impact assessment. So you can look at the numbers and see what the ATV industry is doing so well in the province. So I would suggest you have a look at that if you haven't already, and just sort of take in those numbers. In 2017, we had a previous economic impact assessment done. At that time, our membership was 21,000. And those, when I say members, I'm talking about vehicles. So a trail pass requires a license plate number. So it's actually the vehicle in not particular person. So 21,000 vehicles had trail permits issued by Quad MB. In 2025, that number went from 21 to 35,000. So that's a pretty good indication of the leap, if you will, in the past 8 years. So it's 35,000 bikes, I guess is what we're getting at. So the difference being in 2017, the GDP contribution was $350 million. In 2024, that went to 514. So that's direct contribution to the GDP for the province. The tables in that document that you have break that down a little bit more if you're looking for specific individual numbers. What we're seeing, and I'm sure you all probably noticed this as well, is that in that 2017 economic impact assessment, 28% of that membership were side-by-side. The bulk of it was regular ATVs. In the later one, the copy, that jumped to 54% are side-by-side. And that number is important to us because what it means is there's a shift toward that type of vehicle, but it brings along with it the confidence in your trip planning, because now you're not concerned so much about if it's going to rain because you have a roof over you. You know, these things come with heat and air conditioning and the whole 9 yards. So we're seeing a lot more long-term planning for trips from the tourist sector. So they're planning months ahead, but they're also planning longer term to do that. And that's where the industry is leading. That's what the tourism portion of this is leading us to. So we're looking for opportunities to provide the food, fuel, and accommodation for those people, for those trips, at those terms. And that's why this hotel plays in here so nicely at this very point. So I'll just sum this up real quick. We're asking for a letter or a motion of support from council for the application as I presented. So basically the blue line, the red line, or a variation of, at some point we can make those changes. This request is, it's about safety, connectivity, and economic opportunity. It's using a controlled and proven model that's already in place in so many places throughout the province. So I appreciate your time, and I'm open to any questions you have.
So Greenlaw?
So the letter of support you would want from us to be able to make the application to the government for the highway access, do you want it to be part of that, or are they two separate things?
No, we will make the application, and in doing so, any application we provide to the province, we would include landowner agreements, for instance. In this case, the province owns everything, but if we happen to be crossing, a piece of your property, we would include a landowner agreement. So the province knows we have authority for what we're asking for, those sorts of things. So the letter of support or the motion of council that we can include in that package is part of. So now, if council decides they don't want to support this, then there will be no application. That's simple. We're not going to move forward without you on this. But we will require it. If we submit without it, they're going to ask me for it.
On the international border, are there any other locations in New Brunswick where the ATVs cross and you have this particular dynamic here?
There's a managed ATV trail, and that's the term managed is in the Off-Road Vehicle Act. There's a managed ATV trail leading to the border at St. Croix, New Brunswick, Vanceboro, Maine. So they cross there, and as well in Edmundston. So the new bridge in Edmundston actually has its own lane for snowmobiles and ATVs back and forth. So those are the two currently that are active.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm quite aware of the St. Croix one. I worked there for 7 years, so I know exactly what you're talking about. But now, I think I've got this wrong. Are you saying that the blue line, that the ATVs will be on the highway?
No.
Okay.
They'll be within the right-of-way. They'll be on provincial property, but not on the traveled portion of the highway.
Councillor?
Just a question for you. Could you give us some examples of where these trails pass in towns in the province today?
Of other communities that have,
In their town?
yeah, I can give you lots. Some of the larger ones are the city of Edmundston actually has 3 bylaws in place. City of Bathurst as well has 3 individual bylaws in place for separate areas, of course, of the cities. Miramichi is on board. McAdam is a good one. St. George, you probably recognize that, and I'm sure you've read about that. It just happened in the last couple of years. Grand Bay Westfield is another one. Petitcodiac into Bucktouche and Rishabukto, trying to go around here, Karakat, and onward sort of thing. So essentially, for the highway use that requires highway usage permits from the province, there are 392 kilometers that are currently permitted under the highway usage permits, individual permits throughout the province. So this is not a new thing by any means. I don't have a number on bylaws because they're typically not written with distances. They're more of a, as shown on the map kind of thing, the way they're written. So I don't know what the number would be there. Perth Andover, Grand Falls has bylaws in place. There's I can get you a list, Brian, if if you really want.
Yes. Just on that, I guess, curiosity question. Like, when they do come to the corner at the Circle K, when they're in town, they follow basically the same rules and regulations as a motor vehicle?
Yes. So under normal circumstances, a highway permit issued by the province will restrict the ATV speed to 40 kilometers. But the traffic through here is really at 40 kilometers from any time I'm in town anyway. But that can be tweaked based on your input here, sort of thing. Other than that, the ATV rider will be, you'll have to have a registered vehicle, of course, proper insurance, those are requirements anyway, but you will have to have a driver's license, valid driver's license, so it sort of eliminates the kids, if you will. That becomes a requirement once you're on a highway. So there will be certain aspects of the Motor Vehicle Act and the Highways Act that will now apply to what would normally use under the Off-Road Vehicle Act.
Major concerns in the areas that you're in currently in the province?
No.
Concern that most of the residents have, because you're not here now, they see the individuals that can pop in wheelies and everything else. They could be 12 years old, 6 years old, or 80 years old, but it's not the same thing. These people are sort of freelance running everywhere.
Kind of thing, it's not meant to address that. You know, you're going to have those folks no matter where you go. They're here now, they're going to be here whether you do this or not, sort of thing. So, yeah, it's a different kettle of fish. What you will find, though, is that once this is in place, it becomes part of the Quad-MB managed ATV trail system, which we have in the province Off-Road Vehicle Enforcement Unit, whose job it is to patrol and enforce the regulations on our managed trail system. So you can call them up and they have to come, basically. But it will be part of their job to patrol it and look for those sorts of things. What you'll also find is that the local ATV club, the members, or even the local ATVers, will provide a certain level of self-policing for these guys that you're talking about, because now there's something to lose, right? Now we all have a vested interest. All the riders have a vested interest in what was been approved. So you get some yahoo that's doing what he shouldn't, then somebody's going to have a chat with him. So any peace officer has the authority to stop and issue fines, but typically you're going to find Weldon St. Stephen RCMP will they'll be patrolling as they always do, off-road vehicle enforcement, conservation officers as well.
And I do understand that there are several local RCMP officers, a member of this club here, and the provincial club. I've heard them speaking of it and seem to be in favor of it, so I thank you.
Yeah, they actually attended one of our meetings, but Councillor Wright.
Thank you. I don't really have a question per se, but more of a comment. I would expect that with the increase in the percentage being more side-by-sides, that means more people stopping at restaurants and spending money. So it probably affects proportionately the economic impact. And the second comment I would add is that on a summer day, it's not unusual to find a lot of side-by-sides full at the Oak Bay Snack and Dairy Bar using the access. So if you can get some of that into the other businesses, and great, you know, obviously I see them because I'm there. So I'm not disparaging the business going to any one community, but if you have more access points, you could perhaps get more ATVs. So it's just an interesting point to consider. Thank you.
One of the things that, in quoting some of these numbers, the difference in the membership in the side-by-sides between 2017 and 2025, 2015, 2017 was about that time when we started seeing more and more side-by-sides coming online. So when you and your partner had a couple of kids in 2015, you had 2 ATVs. So that was 2 members of Quad-MB. But now you've got rid of those in favor of 1 side-by-side. So now a single member in 2025 was 2 members. And even though we lost a member from that time frame, we've managed to gain from 21,000 to 35. So that shows, you know, the popularity and how it's increasing. And of course, we've gone from 2-seater, 3-seater side-by-sides to the 4-seaters now, and so the whole family can entertain.
Okay, so I got a question as well. When we're talking about the speed limit, and it's obviously going to go with the flow of traffic, so I'm just trying to visualize let's say you're going on your side-by-side down King Street. The traffic flows with you. They're not driving around you. How's that working out in the communities?
On a typical, like, a street outside of town, a DTI road, back road, the document or the approval document would have a clause in it basically saying that all of the traffic has the right of way. So if somebody comes up behind me, I pull over to the shoulder, slow down or stop, and you know, they go by me kind of thing. It's a little more difficult when you're inside the community, especially if you have sidewalks, curb, those sort of things, and park cars, you know, that limit that opportunity to do that. So what we do find, and we find this a lot with the municipal bylaws that have been enacted, is that they want the ATVs and the side-by-sides to be traveling equal to, so nobody's impeding anybody in doing that, yeah.
I was kind of hoping for that answer, but yes, thanks. Councilor Islett?
Yeah, do you have any anticipated numbers that you're thinking would use this trail? And is there any study on anticipated numbers of vehicles that were, like just typically from other areas, I guess, what increased?
No. This is one of the more difficult situations because we're not, the blue line itself is not in part of the managed trail yet, so we don't have a flow coming from the north and bypassing St. Stephen to go to St. George. If we would know those numbers, so we could anticipate how many of them would actually come downtown, you know, especially if you're having a festival or an event or those sorts of things, or the club was hosting a major event, how many of them would come into town. At the present time, we don't have that connection, so we don't have those flow numbers. But what we can tell you is that you'll see an initial increase. You'll see people that will want to come. They will, you know, they will suddenly plan, especially if they're not far from here. If they're from St. George, Macadam area, let's go to St. Stephen for supper on the bike. Let's go, you know, those sorts of things. Or something is happening in St. Stephen, let's go. That kind of thing. Once the hotel becomes established or the campgrounds are open, those sorts of things, then you'll start to see the planners, but you'll know far ahead that you're not going to be opening a floodgate here, you know, by any means. But the better that experience is, the more opportunity and access that people have, the more they're going to talk about that within the community, as with any other community. The ATV community discusses, you know, the trips they go on and whether or not it was a good time or those sorts of things. So it's, you'll see it. There's no question about it. But no, I can't really I wouldn't venture a guess.
No, you say managed trail. Now, how do you, just out of curiosity, how do you get to those managed trails? If you live in town, are you legally allowed to go from your house to a managed trail, or you have to trailer it and park somewhere like close
You
to
know, legally you need to trailer it. Yeah, so that would be something the municipality may want to look at in a bylaw, which would be separate. There are a few communities within the province who have enacted bylaws allowing people who reside in the community access basically on all the streets. So wherever you live in the community, you could use the street in front of your house to get to the trail. But for people not residing in the community, they're restricted to the trails coming in. So if I'm coming in from Macadam, I'm restricted to Route 170. I can come down across the border or that sort of thing, but I can't go on any of the back streets. So there's a handful of them, maybe 5 in the province that have something similar along that, but it's very difficult to get a trail to everybody's front door.
Oh, sorry. I shut you off. Sorry. Oh, you're done? Okay. Sorry. So I'll just, I had a thought there. Just give me a second. How do the quad users know that it is a trail? Like, let's say that someone's not new to the area. Like, is it marked or is it on a GPS, or how do you guys know?
Show up on, we have an online map. We have an app you can put on your smartphone. There are also various other apps that people use that show the trails as well, but there will be signage in place. So there will be all kinds of social media presence and website presence, announcements, if you will, because these things do come with requirements and restrictions. We want to make sure that people are aware of them. It'll be an educational thing as well, but the word will get out. And with a limited amount of signage for this is a pretty straight route, so that works in that favor, of course. But if there is a reduced speed limit, those are things that we we need to make sure people are aware of when they come to town. If they're used to going to another town with a different speed limit, then that's, that's an issue we need to make sure gets put across the table. But there will be a limited amount of signage. Over-signing can be worse than no signing, especially for people who aren't part of the ATV community and don't recognize that new sign. They don't know what it means because it's an ATV sign or those sorts of things. So that's something that typically we would work with the municipality, with your public works guys. You guys I assume would probably have some sort of a signage policy and that you would follow anyway.
Okay, yes, go ahead, Councilor Greenlaw.
Yeah, just, I think one of the things that we should do, to be prudent, though, we should talk to the RCMP and talk about enforcement and talk about how they feel about, having those particular vehicles on the roads before we make any decisions. Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking as the council meet with them? Because I've kind of already been part of that with Vance, but actually you were here. Yeah, so we've kind of had that meeting, yeah.
I just think that needs to be something made public.
Yeah.
That those, feedback from the RCMP.
You can, yes.
Just to be, probably the favorite word, transparency. We did speak with the association beforehand because you approached us several months ago now, and we just wanted to get clarified what was taking place. And one of the gentlemen at the meetings is a management RCMP officer here, and the dialogue was similar to this, but we just needed more information. And I guess we requested you to make it formal because we wanted to make sure people knew that what was going on. And the main concern that basically we had is our main concern is that we are lacking very heavily in tourism. Now that we got a hotel coming, and not only the hotel, but the restaurants along the street, probably the new hotel's going to have one, probably the Five Kings, and anything else along here. If you noticed during the parade we had at Christmas time, there was a number of ATVs in there, side-by-sides. And during the summertime, we had our parade, and I noticed that a lot of the ATVs, after the parade was over, turned around, come back, and I seen a lot of them pulling into the restaurants all along the street. So I think it's a great thing right now, so that's all I had to say.
It's important to note as well that the ATV industry, this is a four-season industry. So it's a four-season thing. So it can be, depending on the location and the situation, it can be quite a boost to the tourism portions in what we call the shoulder seasons, when the summer tourists are no more, but the winter tourism hasn't picked up yet, kind of thing. The ATVs keep chugging away. And the Western Charlotte County ATV Club are a four-season club.
Go ahead.
Not only RCMP, but we also have to talk to the BIA and the chamber and have that buy-in as well, right? I mean, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Vance. Appreciate you coming in. Yes, sir.
Do you want this not just put on the agenda at the end of the month, or just looking for direction for?
Oh, you wanted to know that right now? Do you want to, what about it was suggested we meet with the RCMP, so that's going to, is he gone?
I mean, we don't have to know, I just wanted to, if you want to wait, that's fine, we can figure out where we're at the end of the month,
Yeah.
hold off for now, it's fine.
I'm just thinking about the RCMP and the BIA and chamber piece.
BIA chamber piece shouldn't be too hard. That'd go quickly. The RCMP, you could probably call them and ask for a meeting and get their feedback.
Yeah, but that'll be a meeting as a scheduled, and then our next schedule is what he's asking about.
The meeting wouldn't have to be with all council. The meeting could be with you and a couple other people, and then you could bring the information.
Already did that.
Yeah, well, it'd be nice to have it formal, so that we knew exactly what the RCMP were saying about enforcement and about that, so that, yeah.
As long as you're good with that, then that could happen quickly, yes. Yeah. All right.
We'll earmark it as an agenda item, and then if
Yes.
something doesn't get done, we can always remove it. Okay.
Okay, next up, community safety update. RCMP reports, speak of the devil, that's included in your package, and it's there for you and the public to review. The next is a Community Wellbeing Task Force update. Oh, what, you have a question on the other one? Okay, so let's back up.
Okay, when you're meeting with the RCMP, I think it would be prudent to find out how come we're at the top of the list with 870. I think it's 870 I just wrote down. Our occurrences, to see exactly what that takes in. Is that all taken in around the shelter here, or is it different? But every month, every time this report comes out, we have the most. And it would be prudent, I think, to find out exactly why we have the most. And could,
870.
yep, could we do that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so now you get the task force. I know you wanna take the lead on the task force?
Yeah.
Yep. It's,
Matter of fact, I just wrote Buddy's number down here, so yep, good.
thank you, man. Hey, thank you. Okay. You want to speak on the task force?
Oh, do I want to?
Oh.
There's not much to see.
Well, no, that's right, but just please share that we.
Yeah, we did meet. We met here on Monday, and there was Alan, Kathy Bacchus, myself, and I forget his name, but there was 4 people here, and not enough for a quorum. Apparently, people either forgot or were not aware that they were to come at this particular time. Anyway, we have set it aside for next Monday at 1 o'clock, and I'm sure by that time we'll have more members here. So, thank you.
Jeff and Celeste are both here too as
Yeah.
well.
Yep.
And, and Kathy's going to get after the province and find out, get them here, and I'm going to get the RCMP here, and you're going to get the people here. All right. Thank you. All right, departmental reports. Next up is the CAO report. Jeff.
Thank you, Worship. So the report dates back a little bit, but as council is aware, the municipal budget 2026 was adopted and approved by our friends at the province. So that was good. As the report says, Community Wellbeing Task Force we thought was off and running, but as our chairperson just noted, we did have a quorum issue at the last meeting. The airport master planning is proceeding well. Just to remind the committee, that's being headed up right now by the CAO from St. Andrews, the executive director for the Regional Service Commission, and myself, working with a consultant to create a master plan for the long-term viability of the Giddens Memorial Airport. For the community's knowledge, on Monday, we'll be launching a community survey to get community feedback regarding the airport, and there's a number of questions there that were provided by the consultant. Just looking to gain more perspective around the airport and its future. So Michelle has already helpfully created all the material and set it to go out on Monday, so let's keep an eye out for that, and please take the time to fill that out. It'd be greatly appreciated. Big news in the last little bit here was that the new HR generalist has arrived and has hit the ground running quite quickly. In fact, just brought me this afternoon, after only being here a couple days, her quarterly work plan of all the things that she's already acknowledged that we need to get done, and her strategies for getting them done. And our communications officer was expected this week, but we had to delay a start date by a week and expecting on Monday now to start. So that'll be a great asset there. A couple other things that didn't make the written report. Just this afternoon, we did release the call for expressions of interest from members of the public interested in working on the animal control bylaw working group to get that off and running. I think we set the date as the 23rd to get back to us with the hopes that we'll have significant interest that council can do appointments at the end of the month for that working group. The Just to let council know, I've been asked to sit, and I will be sitting on the UMNB Fiscal and Local Government Advisory Committee. We have our first meeting of that tomorrow afternoon to start working on some things there. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity to talk and help with UMNB set priorities on their lobbying efforts. Sean and I have been working a fair bit lately with our consulting firm, well, actually over the last about 6 to 8 months, on a strategic plan for our potable water system. The mayor had a sneak preview as he popped into the office the other day of one piece of the tools that we're going to be bringing forward, which was about a 6 or 8 minute video detailing what our strategic plan is going to look like, mainly for council consumption, but also for public consumption. It's formatted in a way to make it very understandable and stay away from the technical jargon that comes with these things. We're just in the final stages of getting costing estimates for our tactics that we're planning for phase 1, which is the immediate 1 to 3 year cycle. We probably would have had it done, except our engineer got this nasty cold that's been going around and was laid up for a few days. But that's we're really excited to bring that forward to this council, who's worked so hard on setting foundations and getting things going on the right track, and been a big advocate of multi-year planning. So we'll be bringing that. We may have it sorted for the council meeting, or we may hold it to the next committee meeting. But it's going to be an interesting. I think you guys will find it very interesting as to not only what we're dealing with today, but why we're dealing with it, and how we can move forward with our funding partners to enhance our system. I think that's probably about it from me.
Okay, there's a question. Go ahead.
On the potable water supply, you're talking about the existing infrastructure and making sure we start working on that and the assets there rather than the contingency one?
Yes, this is dealing with the fact that our system was built in 1906. Well, no, it's well more than that. The sneak preview that I mentioned to the mayor the other day is well 1, our main operating well. When we went through the engineering documents with the engineers, when it was built in 1906, its expected useful life was 40 years. We've been running it for another 80 years after the end of its expected useful life, which has its challenges, as Mr. Morton can attest to. Even some of the maintenance work that you would have seen, the advisory came out, just giving people heads up that we were working on the system and we could trigger a boil water. Thankfully, the guys worked really hard to make sure that didn't happen this week. But the work they were doing was in an area where they were dealing with 120-year-old infrastructure. And you can imagine we don't know what necessarily happens when you touch something that's that old. But one of the things you'll find, and I know the mayor got a sneak preview of this, the way we are approaching the strategic plan and the way we're approaching how we communicate it both to you and to the public in general, it's a very straightforward, honest assessment of where we are today. There's no sugarcoating involved. We are at a key point in this infrastructure, and if we don't do things now, things are going to get a lot worse really quickly, we believe. The good side is that we're willing to acknowledge that, and we have our friends at RDC already engaged with us about funding opportunities. And basically, the same day that we got the first draft of the document, RDC had noticed that we had just come out of a boil water order and called my office and said, what do you need and how do we get you what you need? And I said, well, we're just finishing this 15-year plan, and as soon as I got a final document, can you come down and talk to us? And they're like, yep, just give me a date and we'll be down. So we have the attention of our friends at the provincial government level with the deeper pockets than we have, and to the point where they were even offering to potentially put in another CHIF funding application to the federal government on our behalf. So we have a lot of support waiting for us to have a good plan in place, which is what we've been working on for the last, like I say, 8 months. that is now coming to fruition. So we're looking forward to rolling that out to you, to showing the general public exactly where we are and where we think we should be going, all with the overarching theme of we need to make sure that the system needs to be good quality, but also needs to be affordable to the end user as well, which is a tough scale to balance at times. But you'll see it when we get into the details in the next few weeks. But we're really excited about rolling that out to you in the next couple weeks.
David?
Yes, I have a question. Probably something's not in here, but I was thinking about today because of the spring-like weather, tenders and RFPs for the streets. How's that? I just want to put that. It's just a little, because when you see those streets now, and we're getting a little preview of down the road.
So basically, the order of operations on our streets, because the council's direction has been that we would be borrowing the funds for that. The tenders are being drafted right now. The borrowing paperwork, Mr. Godso is working away at, and hopefully we have to come to council for formal approvals for those borrowing before we can issue the tender. So it's we're drafting the tenders in the expectation that the borrowing will be approved, and then there's a lot of math and projections and fun accounting things that Mr. Godso and his team are getting ready for you folks to show you the implications of the borrowing that we then can send our stuff into the Municipal Capital Borrowing Board to get approval, and then once we have approval of the borrowing, then we can issue the tenders and start going down that road. So everything is moving behind the scenes. It's just we have to get the order of operations correct.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Next up, Mr. Morton. Deputy CEO report.
Thank you, Your Worship. In case it wasn't obvious, this my report is a combination of November and December numbers, statistics, and activities where we didn't have a meeting in December. So if it looks like we had a lot of calls or issues, that's why it's actually 2 months worth of stuff. I don't have a lot to talk about, just a couple of things that I had highlighted. On protective services side, I didn't mention in this report, but I thought it's worthy of noting. Some of you may recall that I sit on the Provincial Training Advisory Committee for the Fire Service, and I've been on that committee for a number of years. I go to Fredericton 3 or 4 times a year, and we are responsible for making recommendations and defining curriculum for specific courses that firefighters have to have as they go through their career. At this time, because of training that I have taken, I now have been appointed or voluntold to sit on 2 ad hoc committees, one of which is aerial operations. We now have a new ladder truck, so not so new now, but we're new to the game, but I've been asked to sit on that committee to represent medium-sized communities alongside of representatives from the big cities and whatnot. So proud to be on that. We haven't met yet, but I will be soon. Also, I got appointed to sit on the ad hoc committee for training related to incident safety officers. I sat in on a course last year and got my accreditation through Nova Scotia. So because I did that, I was selected to look at doing a similar course for here in New Brunswick. So I'm busy off on the side looking after training things that will impact firefighters right across the province. So very, very proud to be part of that. Back on the infrastructure side, public works side, Jeff highlighted a little bit about what's going on, but as you know, we had a boil water order back before Christmas. That was related to the Maxwell Crossing suction line replacement that we You'll remember last year we went through this. We said we weren't going to do it in January when we did the second line, and here we are in January. Much like tourism, this is sort of a shoulder season for Public Works. In the summer, you know, as much as we tried at just gathering parts and pieces and finding the time to do it, it didn't work out. But we did start it. The boil order was caused as a result of the water came up. We really didn't anticipate that. We had a little bit of a melt. Some ice and water came down. The water table rose and flooded into our trench, which ended up into the well, causing the boil order. We managed to put mitigating factors in place so that if the water table come up again, hopefully that wasn't going to happen. And then we proceeded with the repairs. The last few days we have fired that pump up. That's why the advisory that something could happen. We've actually created turbidity in the system, but in small enough amounts that we were able to flush it out of the system before it got beyond the source and into the reservoir, therefore avoiding the boil order. The work we had scheduled for this week, we were successful. We're going to continue to do what we've been doing, bump it in the morning, blow a little bit of stuff out, then shut it down and use the primary pump. On Monday, we will turn that pump on and let it run the cycle. So in other words, that pump will be supplying water to the town and the reservoir for the first time. We're very confident that that's not going to cause problems, but it's not zero. There is a small risk that we could stir up turbidity, and if we see that happening, we're going to try and stop it. But I cannot 100% say we will not go into boil order. Thus, the update I sent out today. So, fingers crossed that Monday everything goes well, and then we're going to move past this stage of repairs. And as Jeff said, those were 120-year-old pipes that we took out of the ground. The way this line was set up was different than the way the primary line was set up, and we found things that, you know, now this makes sense as to why we've been seeing problems, you know, historically that we couldn't explain. Certain times of the year we get turbidity. Why are we getting it? We didn't know. Well, it turns out there was an opening into the side of the well where when the water table come up, it was pushing sediment into the well, you know, numerous times throughout the year. So hopefully what we did this time around will help us with turbidity over the big picture. So positive things. Like Jeff said, you don't know what you got when you dig in the ground 120 years later, and we're learning all kinds of stuff as we go. So thank you, everybody, for your patience and whatnot with what we're doing. And that's all I've got to say, unless there's questions or comments about anything else.
Okay, Councillor Harding.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just want to say a big thank you, just a big thank you. When I looked out, or I guess I saw it on Facebook, and saw everything that was happening up at 449.5 Milltown, it was just remarkable, the amount of people that was there, the mutual aid that was there. You people, it was just, I've never seen anything, an operation as remarkable as that. I thank God it wasn't a windy night, or there wouldn't have been a house left in that area. But I wanted you to tell your fire people and the mutual aid people what a great job they did. Thank you.
Thank you. I've told the people in your neighborhood that were directly surrounding it and thanking us for saving their buildings, in particular the denture clinic. If not for Tower 1, the denture clinic, probably the Haley Place, probably several of houses in that direct area, in all likelihood, may have been lost. So it doesn't get used every day, but when we do use it, it's a powerful tool. And anybody that was up there seeing what we were doing would be impressed with what we were able to do because of that piece of equipment. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Greenlaw?
Yeah, it's just good to see that there's some dog catching services. It looks like they're going on out in the rural wards. So it's great to see that's in place while while the committee develops the whole thing. Just want to say appreciate that.
It's a little rough. Thanks. All right, are you all done, Sean? All right, thank you. Next up, Parks and Community Services. Kev Sumner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Happy New Year to Council. I want to start off the new year with some positive news. We got a really nice thank you plaque from the Charlotte County Full Fair, which Michelle was going to pass around. It's a celebration of the collaboration that we have with the Full Fair and all their volunteers that work, and we support them and they support us. So it's a nice thing that we've got added to the office. The new year started off, and like the other reports, this includes a little bit of December as well. We had a busy period with hockey tournaments at the GCC. As it says in the report, lots of teams from around the province and our neighbours to the south came to visit us. So with that and the news about the hotel, we're very excited. We're already planning, how we can approach that in a couple of years' time whenever we get the hotel going. We also have a full quota of maintenance staff now, which I know Jeremy really appreciates, to support the events like we have. And again, we've got the agreement with the County Moose has been pushed through by Jeff, and that's a great thing for us to have for the next several years. So outside of well, not included in the report, just a couple of late things that have happened. I want to really thank our team, our front desk, our events team, our lifeguards, our maintenance crew. We've seen a couple of emergency response incidents just outside the building and inside the building in the last 10 to 14 days. With staff responding within seconds to injured people and the scenes. Great response. They've been working well together, and there's always things we're learning from that. But it's a real testament that we have a good team that communicates, and we know how each other works and what's expected. So that's a pleasing thing from our point of view. The capital projects, my report, we were looking for quotes. We've actually had those confirmed, and we've put the order in for those 10 solar lights to go onto the waterfront trail. Now we're in a new year, and the capital funds can be spent. So that's a positive thing. We're working with Mary over at the BIA. Looking forward to those hopefully being in place in the spring, as well as the other things like the tennis courts up in Milltown, and a little bit later we'll be talking about the skate park options as well. So big thank you to Chief Morton and his crew for assisting with clearing out the board arena and that work, which was not easy over the last few months. Finally cleared that out, and yeah, it's exciting to see how that's going to progress. In regards to Aaron and his report, a small plug for the March break. We offered this a few years ago, was a free lifeguard clinic to those young enough that are looking to start a career in lifeguarding. We after COVID, we were quite low on numbers, and we've gone through a full circle of lifeguards, and we've got really good numbers now, but we're planning for September, which seems a long way off, but it'll be here very quickly. So if anybody with children, grandchildren interested in lifeguarding, I know Councillor Cornish will testify to how good it is to have a lifeguard in the family. We like to see them joining us, and Jeremy, in regarding his report, he's been very busy. You've seen the new lights added to this end of the arena. It was quite dark for a while there, and we've got plans to add more of those throughout the arena just to bolster up the light. And he's busy with other capital projects now. We're, like I said, into the new year, and he's working on those. But I'm joined with Michelle tonight. We wanted to talk a little bit about the International Homecoming Festival. There's a few suggestions there in it's really Michelle's report. She developed that. I'll pass it over to Michelle, and she can carry on.
Hello, everybody. So as you can see in the proposal that I've put forward, we are coming up on our 53rd year in the Homecoming Festival. For 45 of the 52 years, it was a community-led event, a community board that organized it. But back in 2018, that board folded, and the council at that time put a resolution forward that this is now going to fall under the municipal umbrella, and it'll be a municipal duty. What I'm coming tonight to talk to all of you about is last year especially showed that the community is now at a point where they are ready to come back in and step up and help with the festival. We were always just meant to be like a stopgap for it. It wasn't meant to be under municipal direction indefinitely, is my thoughts and feelings. And so to move forward, we want to continue to grow this. We've got an amazing group on the other side, like their chair, Andrea and Kaylee and Cynthia, especially. The working with them has been great, and we want to grow the festival, but we are at a point on the municipal side that we are at physical capacity. We just cannot physically do more with the staffing that we have than what we are already doing. We run our Kids Fun Day, that's our main event. We do the fireworks, we've been doing the parade, the hands, every single event, mostly, all the major ones. There are some small ones that other community groups have participated with us. In past years, we also did receive government funding for students to assist with that, but for the last 3 years, we have not received that government funding either. So we've been trying to do it on lower staffing levels. And so we are hoping that you would take it under consideration to allow us to open this back up to being a community-led board. We, of course, in our community services departments would maintain members of the board as we do with Chocolate Fest, and we would offer guidance, we would be support. There's still financial support for it, but now seems the time to make it more of a community-led event again, as it was for 45 years. And so we're looking for some guidance and counsel on perhaps amending or reversing the 2018 resolution.
Yes, yeah, sure. You participate in all those meetings, so go for it.
Yeah. I think it is a good move, and I have been attending the meetings there, and I have been working with this, but I think before we do that, I think we need to meet with the callus, over the river. I don't think we can take this on ourselves. And because I do go back to the parade when we did cancel the parade, and it seemed like we didn't really consult with them, and they're part of the committee. So I think before we do this, I think we need to be in touch with them, meet with them, and make them see the value of this.
I do agree with that, and I would definitely get them involved in our committee selection. But as a council, I am letting you know we are at physical capacity with what we can do with the staff levels we have. So, of course, we would never choose a committee without them, but our request to you to open it up to the community to allow us to build our committee is what I'm asking, not that we're going to choose the committee, but, and I honestly feel our American counterparts would be able to attest that, like, we've seen it on their side. You look at their events in the brochure, and because they have so many community members involved, they're able to all pull on their cousin, their friend, their whatever, and they have events all over because their community is their board. And that is where we are having some trouble. So, as you are aware, we did let the community, or let the American side know this was coming tonight. They did send a letter of response to all of council today. And I hope that if they are listening right now, they realize that this has all been meant to strengthen it and make this grow back to the way it used to be. And I just feel, and Patty, Phil, and between Patty Anderson and I, we've been the chairs since 2018 Patty's done it the last 3 years. I did it the years before that. And we just feel that getting our community involved again is the right decision to grow it. It is just, we need to grow the festival.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, or did you have some? Getting the community involved and getting a group together, because I've talked to the previous groups that used to do this back when they did do it. They would start in December and meet like either monthly or quarterly and brainstorming, which, you know, it brings new, fresh ideas. It brings the community mindset of support along with it. So I think it's a good idea. At least we got to try. Either way, we'll do it one way or the other, but we at least got to try. And did you have something?
I just wanted to say, before we move ahead, I really would like to meet with them personally. I mean, emails are great, but sometimes you don't get the same message, right? And they might have some really good ideas too, so.
So Heislett?
I appreciate your report there on that. Just as an outside, kind of an outsider on this, because it's fresh eyes, but I was pretty confused about both of the letters today, because one didn't seem to jive with what you were saying, and so I think there's some confusion there for sure. And as you say, just have a consult with them and say, you know, this is what we plan on doing. I think it looked like it was clear on both sides, but then it got kind of confused in the middle there. So yeah, I think if you going forward, just to close ties with them and start building your, as you say, start building a committee or, you know, community committee. Sounds good to me.
And in my phone call today, I did ask for that meeting, so we could get this before a decision needs to be made, because obviously here tonight it's for questions and answers. But yeah, ultimately at the end of the day, our goal is to try and make this bigger, especially now that we are getting the hotel. If we do get the ATV trails in, that's going to be fabulous. They love participating in our summer events for us. They always try to be very active in anything that we do, the ATV club. And so there's just ways we could grow it in so many different ways if we can get beyond the limitations we're facing with just two of us.
So I guess what, Michelle, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I don't think we need to rescind a motion right now, but I think it's a great idea to go out and engage the public and try to get the public involved and see if you can gauge the interest right now to see the commitment that's there at this point in time. And once you get the commitment, then you can move away from having the control.
Yeah, but the motion's a motion, right, that's in place, right? Set by council. Yeah, we can discuss that further. I mean, in the end of the day, Michelle needs to know if we're on board.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. And did you want some?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, you know, we should actually listen to her and do what she'd like to do.
All right. Everyone good to push forward and save this thing? Or spice it up some? Thank you so much. Thank you, Michelle. Did you have anything else? Okay, thank you. All right, next up is, I almost said Tim, Frank.
Thank you, Your Worship. Report is there, the numbers are there. I won't spend time going through every one of them. I do want to focus on a couple of things, I guess, essentially more on my end. Well, before I even get there, I guess I'll say that the water and sewer bills have been printed now, and they should be going out shortly. I also want to just take a second to thank Sean and his team and the Cows team. I was basically 2 doors down from that, sound asleep, when this was all happening. And I normally come in here about around 6:15 or so when I went out, and the first thing I saw was an RCMP vehicle. I thought they had someone stopped. And I walked down to the end of the driveway, and I could see what was happening. So for somebody that was sleeping 2 doors down from where this was happening, it's nice to know that we had the the support of the team that was there. Nope.
No, you could blow the place up and I wouldn't wake up. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. Working on a number of things right now, and Jeff alluded to one of them, but these are kind of tied together. Essentially, audit right now, as we mentioned, I believe at the
the last meeting, the auditors are scheduled to come in early March, which means we have to be ready for them. And the report says we're to the end of September, I'm now to the end of October, moving into November. Audit ties in with what we need to do with regards to our boring, because if we get to a point where everything is ready and it's to the province and the audit's late, it's not going to happen anyway. So it's basically a combination thing. My primary focus right now is to get that to the point where I can sort of pass that off to some other staff to get some other things in place, and then sort of move along with getting the MCBB, the Municipal Capital Board preparation ready. But it ties together. So one is not, even though they're separate items, they're both very important in that process. Working on, Jeff and I have been working on funding requests for capital replacement funding, which is a provincial. Jeff's going to take another look at that. We've basically, there's funding available there for capital projects and capital equipment that we're replacing. And we have to apply, and it's sort of a multi-year request, but you put in for what you know for the next year and what you project for the next 3 or 4 after that. We've got reports that are due for the Canada Community Building Fund, the old gas tax. We mentioned audit. T4s, I've started working on those. They're due by the end of February as well. So we started working on that today, over the last few weeks, but today we actually met to discuss some of the issues and some of our challenges with regards to bringing forward a water rate policy update to this council prior to the next billing, which would be happening. There's going to start reading around the 1st of March. One of the things that happened when we went to flat rate is we found out very quickly what some of the challenges were that we hadn't even thought of. And we're working together as a team, both Blair Furlot, Melody Nielsen from Sean's team and my team, and Jeff, to take a look at what some of those challenges are and how we can, because it's not just about what are we going to charge, it's about how are we going to evaluate what we're going to charge. And in terms of different classifications and different rate structures and that type of thing. And I want to bring forward a comprehensive, not that we can ever cover everything, but as comprehensive as if we can, a policy that covers up what some of those issues are, and then more so that we can, maybe if we have to look at this again, it will be next year this time, instead of coming back to you further down the road this year and saying, it's not working. The challenge is both in terms of how we charge and what we charge, but also to make sure that there's enough cash flow to manage that, that department. Streets we mentioned. I've got an HST filing that's mentioned in my report that I'm actually ready to do for tomorrow. And I've also been working on various insurance issues with regards to some claims. And of course, the lagoon is ongoing. Sean didn't mention it, but we had an update there today, and hopefully they're looking at early spring, I guess, is probably fair.
Yeah.
In terms,
late winter, early spring.
Yeah, in terms of completion for that, so we're no one's would be any happier to see that project complete than me. To date, I mean, the project in terms of total cost is greater than that, but we've already received some funding on. There's a couple of components to this. We already received some funding on the operational part of it from last fall. We're working right now off the capital side of it, so that's the building costs. And we've received $1 million, and I think it's mentioned in the report anyway, $1 million from the insurance company so far. It's more of an advance. They're really not covering on an invoice-by-invoice basis at this point. There's been an application for another $500,000, which basically would bring us pretty close to what we've invested in this project. And so hopefully by the time that this is done, we've got that fairly close to being complete in terms of recovering from the insurance company as well. There was authorization to go back to the capital, the community building fund, and use funding from there. I've been trying not to do that. We've got a few other projects that we've either on the go or planned or even for the future that funding would probably be better off coming from that fund, and let the insurance do what they're supposed to do. It's more of right now, it's more of a cash flow if I need it. And so far, I've been lucky enough not to need it. The funding from the insurance company as it comes in has been enough to at least keep us going with it. But we're watching that very closely. The check registers for both November and December are in the report, and if there's any questions, I'll attempt to respond.
Councilor Greenlaw?
Thanks very much for the update on the treatment plant and the insurance company, stuff like that. That's great to know that we're coming in fairly close. I just noticed that the assistant treasurer's taken, it seems like a lot more is going on her plate. So are you keeping an eye on the compensation rate to make sure it's fair? That's just right.
She's keeping an eye on it.
Treat people fairly. And then the last thing, is I think it was part of the resolution, but the vacation buyout, that should be happening here fairly soon, and I want to see, see a report on it.
There was a discussion. We already know what that's going to look like. It's, I believe it's in the policy that would happen this month, and it's already planned, I believe, for next week or early the week after.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Wright?
Just a comment, the thing that makes me happiest is to see that audit process is starting in March. That's the earliest in a long time. It sort of beats September or October, and that makes my heart happy, and it was thanks to I know people don't like us taking credit for what we've done, and I understand that, but council allocated the funds and allocated the resources to call in the troops and help you guys get what you needed to get. And it was so we could say this as a municipality, we're now back on track. But it took you guys implementing it, and I can't thank you guys enough, you and your team. It's been incredible to see the transformation over 18 months, and I'm happy about that.
If I can make just one comment, this goes back to what Councilor Greenlaw said as well, other than the funding part of it. She has taken on a lot more, and that's allowed me to take on, to move faster and more. And most of the time, and I got to give her credit, most of the time it's not even me asking. It's about her requesting that, look, do you need help with this? Can I take this on? And so I'm very encouraged. She's obviously grown with the role. It's not something I came into that role with a background. She hasn't really come into that role with that background, but she's taken on a lot more. They both are. And I couldn't be any happier with the fact we've all got titles, but at the end of the day, we're working as a team, and I think that's what's important.
Okay, and just also mention these audits getting done on time help us with these funding opportunities as well.
And that's the concern too, right? I mean, it's great if we can get that reporting done and get that into them, but if it just sits there now and for a few months because the audit's not complete, then you really haven't, you're no further ahead. So we have to try to manage both of them within that same time frame.
Okay, well, thank you. Now, Alex isn't here tonight, so you weren't planning on speaking it, were you, or just going to say it's in the package?
Alex did send his regrets. He called me this afternoon, had an unanticipated conflict arise, and basically just indicate if there are questions, feel free to send them my way, and between Alex and myself, we'll get you answers back, but he does send his regrets for missing the meeting.
Do you have a comment? Yeah, go ahead.
He also called me this afternoon, late, and he has another important appointment, but he was supposed to announce this tonight, and he says, it's on your head now. I said, thanks a lot. Anyway, the Planning Commission has appointed myself again as part of the PRAC for the next 4 years. He just wanted to make sure the town knew that I would be representing this area also.
You're welcome. I voted for you, Brian. Yeah, it wasn't a big lineup, right?
Yeah, beating down doors.
No, appreciate what you're doing on that, though. Thanks, Brian. Okay, so that report. Future St. Stephen report. Rivers.
Thank you, Your Worship.
I got a call from an excited developer in Tressa. She showed me her building permit that she had gotten, and she was all pretty happy with that. And so that's allowed her to do the magic that she needs to do officially. Also, she indicated to me that demolition is going to take place at the border arena. The actual demolition itself is going to take place in March. And at the same time, I was talking to her. I said, well, what about the hotel? When are we going to start to see shovels in the ground at the hotel? And she said in April or May. So those are the time periods that we're looking at. Councillor Harding, it's nice not to hear you say, so any news on the hotel?
Your work on the hotel.
Thank you. The other thing is that we've finished a developers package that is going to be provided to developers in advance, but also as they request information on housing opportunities in our community. So that's being done. I'll send a copy of it out to each one of you through Celeste, so you can have a look at that on its PDF. Also, for one of the things we're going to be doing is working with businesses, the business community, to help them with the facade program. We're going to help the organizations such as the BIA and so on get the word out also with regards to that facade program. I think that's an amazingly easy one to make a decision on, say yes. And so we're putting our resources behind her, and also we're going to be developing a business training program for the community, for the business community also. And that's really just to bring existing businesses to see and meet each other, but also to give them valuable assets that they can take back to their business and use. On that note, we collaborated with the Chamber, the BIA, and the MDSS on the development of a community awareness brochure, and that's going out in the water bills this month, I presume. Is that do you remember that? Tomorrow morning. Thank you, Michelle. That's going out tomorrow morning, and so that was another example how community came together and collaborated on a piece of document that I think is going to be very beneficial for our community members, or the residents, to know exactly what it is that we do, because we get asked that question quite a bit. Attended a meeting with Synergy in Eastern Charlotte. There's been talk about getting together and collaborating. It was really a meet and greet lunch that we had, and the anticipation is that as we go forward, we'll look for opportunities to collaborate with each other. And lastly, I want to thank Jeff for meeting with me. I keep getting asked by my board, what are the top 3 priorities that you want us to focus in on? And so we had a meeting with regards to that, and there was 3, and then all of a sudden there was 5, which is good. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's about it for me. If any questions?
Thank you, Rivers. Councilor Greenlaw?
Yeah, thanks, Rivers. Great on the awareness brochure. It's going out in the water bills. Is there going to be an electronic copy, or maybe copies in the lobby for the rural ward people, because they don't get water bills, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I'm presuming that's what we'll be doing, Michelle. Yep. 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 There you go.
Thank you. I've been getting some videos from Tressa of the old board arena. Yeah, she sends them to me there. So she is pretty excited. She must be excited about getting a building permit. That'd be the first. But, yeah, that's right, 100%. Yeah, she is. Happy to have her. Okay, no more questions for future St. Stephen? Thank you, Rivers. Skate park, is that going to go back to you, Kev?
I guess we're talking about the border arena is a good kind of segue into, because I've been asked to look into potential locations for the skate park, as it was removed from the area just in front of the board arena, and the report includes several locations which we have earmarked as administration with the idea it is municipal property. It's accessible, it's safe. There isn't any other concerns regarding land use. But we realize as well we want to hear from the public in case there are any locations in the municipality that we haven't thought of. There might be something that we want to see or skateboarders want to see. I'm not a skateboarder myself. So I've been fortunate to reach out, and a couple have engaged with me and over the last few months and discussions about what they would like to see in our new skate park, wherever it will be. They also really want to get in front of council and present their hopes and wishes and plans for the future, which could include grant applications and skateboard new additions to a skate park. The report itself, the skateboarders prefer the area behind what was the Courier at Top Shelf and Scotiabank, it's Burton Avenue. There is a section there of municipal land, which, as I understand, before my time, it was previously a skate park. I don't know if I took that on good advice. Yeah, but it was there. And one thing that the skateboarders have asked, just for the right kind of concrete and the right kind of base, and we have seen that at our former skate park at Rotary Field and the one we've just finished using. That was established by our crew as well. So and we're fortunate we have local contractors, in the concrete world that can assist, and I can go through each one individually. We can discuss them if there's any questions, if there's any that any properties that council wants to think about, we can share them and talk about. But we will look to roll this out in the next very near future, so we can get the reports to council and then get the equipment in place wherever it may be in time for the spring, as soon as weather allows us to.
All right, so what we got is the users like the Burton Avenue, and that's so that the users, and I guess the biggest thing is you get this out in the public. They see Abbott Street, you see Elm Park, you see Chocolate Park, and another Chocolate Park version. So, but get these out there, and the public can supply some feedback to yourself. You gave a channel to do that, I see. So, let's see where it goes. Yep. All right. Okay. Sure. Counselor?
We did put some funds in the budget for this year for this.
I believe we said if we need to take it, we can take it from reserve. We haven't put any specific for in the capital for new additions. We've kept the old equipment, but I think we said if we can take it from reserve. Yeah, and hopefully, with the Burton Avenue one, I think that was staff's preferred one, but of course, there could be others. There wouldn't be, a case for rebuilding or putting down a new pad like we would at, say, Elm Park or Abbott Street. Abbott Street has some kind of flooding issues, but there is a pad already, or there is a foundation there at Burton Avenue, and that's what the skateboard's like. So that would be ours, but again, we're open to any other suggestions.
Okay, thank you. All right, now. That there. Okay. Next up is bylaws. Draft options to amend public comment period in bylaw 05-2023 council procedure bylaw. You want to take? Okay, go ahead.
So couple things to note here. One, unlike most reports that comes from my office to you folks, there's no recommendation on this one, as this is a 100% a policy matter for you folks. But you had previously asked for me to go and do an environmental scan, but what other options and how other places are handling public at council meetings. This should have been presented a while ago, but it slipped down the priority list with budget and other things. But, so we're now to the point where I wanted to make sure that this came to this council. You have three options there of varying styles. At this point, we're just administration's looking for direction as to if there's a preferred style there, if there's some things that we like in one and another that we can put together, just where, or if you just want to keep things how they are. Just get feedback for us so we know where to direct our energies, or if the energies need to be directed anywhere at this point. So they're just there for your consideration and dialogue, and we look forward to any direction you want to give.
Okay, anyone wants to start? Councilor Harding?
Thank you. A big bugbear with me is that the delegations are going into 0523, okay? And they're too long. If you give somebody 5 minutes to speak, that's what it should be, 5 minutes. Give them 5 minutes for an answer, that's what it should be. There'll be a new council coming on here pretty soon, and nothing makes me any uglier than to come to a council meeting for a 15-minute sombre of somebody talking about something. 5 minutes and 5 minutes for questions should be the appropriate time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Wright?
Thank you. I am of the mindset that I would like to see changes to it. I've not been really, that I can think of, I've not seen a public comment session where the same question or comment couldn't have been directed in advance to all of council or to a single councillor. And my hope would be if we make changes that, I know the intent behind it for me would be to expand participation so it's not limited to just the people that can show up. To enhance communication by encouraging people to reach out on an individual basis rather than fostering the misperception that the only way or the best way to reach out to a councillor is through that public comment period. I would rather engage with people one-on-one. I did have somebody DM me today with a, basically just a concern or to tell me that, anyway, I won't repeat what they said because it was very negative, but every time I've offered to meet with somebody and have a coffee when there's concerns, I never get taken up on that. We need to encourage and foster people to reach out to their councillor just like they do their MLA, just like they do their MP. They don't show up at the legislature and have public comment period. They reach out through their MLA. They don't show up at the parliament. You can't even take out your phone. You can't even have your phone in the House of Commons. They take it from you when you walk in the door. So to encourage, not to limit access to council, but to make it better access by encouraging the one-on-one access, which is what we're here for, and which so very few people take us up on. So I do think there needs to be changes, but I am going to throw a bombshell here and say, I think we're late to the game in doing it. If we were going to do it as this council, I would want to see us be able to do it in a time frame that allows the public to see the benefits of it, to see the results of it. We only have 4 council meetings left. We're not going to get that time frame. So we may just be creating a challenge for the next council in trying to help them. We may actually be creating a bigger challenge by not having been the ones to make the decision and then bear the brunt of it for a year. So while I agree that changes need to be made, I'm not sure now is the time to make them.
Councilor Heislip?
Problems with the button. Yeah, I do agree with that, Councillor Wright. I mean, I guess as responsible councillor, we maybe should make that decision now to better the next councillor next council coming in, but we're not going to see the benefit of it, and maybe they might not see the benefit of it either. Yeah, might not want it. The little history of this, and I'm sure, you know, Councillor Harding and yourself. Yeah, I was the one that kind of started. It was only myself and Charlie was in the. Were the only two ones that were attended meetings, and it was before before all the cameras, everybody, and it was pretty open conversation, and I'd like to see like comment period before decisions are made, and that's what my frustration was before coming on council, was that during the committee of the whole, it was. It's the time when you're thinking about making the resolutions and everything at the next meeting, and to get that input at that committee of the whole would be more beneficial to me, you know, for sure for me, to make that decision later on at the next council meeting. So, it was just a one-on-one usually at the council meeting. That's when we used to have different roles, different committees. So everybody's turned around and said, "You got any questions?" After every committee presented, and that's how it went, and it was pretty easy going. But then when you get cameras on you, it just, you know, we don't talk as openly as what used to happen 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. We don't talk as openly because you got cameras and people watching certain things of it and taking it out of context, and all of a sudden before I get home it's on Facebook. I mean, I can attest to some of the public comment periods. I got 300 messages on my phone that I still keep that are disgusting, that people attack me and attack my wife for something that was never said at a council meeting. So something's got to change, but I don't know if it's our time to change it or not. And I keep those, and one of these days, I don't know, I'll burn them, I guess, or delete them. But you know, it's, you know, I don't think it's the time right now, because I don't know if it'll benefit the next people coming in or not. But I went to those harassment seminars, and that's what they stand by. I mean, I see in the emails that, well, this is typical of other places, but we talked to other people and other councillors and other councils, and they said, no, we don't even provide any time to go in for anybody speaking. If we do, we cut off the cameras. It affects, you know, because people get up in front of a camera and they want to see it, and I take regular rides with people, and they say, geez, we watched the council meeting. Well, not the council meeting, we just watched the question period, because that's what they want to see, right? So it's, you know, it's a difficult situation for me. I'd like to see it be totally open, no problem. You know, that's what I wanted before, and it worked well that way. But in today's day and age, it just doesn't work anymore. So something has to be changed, but I don't think we're at the time for us to change it. We got 2 more months left or 3 more months left, right? So that's my rant.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. I am responsible for bringing it back, because we wanted that communication. But again, like Councillor Heislip had alluded to, is in those days it was you had someone come in at something that really were passionate about. It's not day to day, every meeting, and just always getting the questions thrown at you. It is challenging, and a lot of these questions could deserve a lot of dialogue, and you can't do that in the 2 minutes neither. You know, and it'd be nice to have that dialogue long before the day, that, like you just mentioned as well. If you have, let's say I have my mindset on what I'm going to vote on that meeting, and I get a question or comment, well, something strikes me, but then you got to try to make a decision. You got to change right on the fly, and that's not right neither. You should put more time and effort in it. As I think it was mentioned, I agree something needs to change. I mean, until I heard Joyce tonight, my goal was to hopefully pave the way for that new council. I'd like to see them have something in place, but I kind of see what you're saying. Maybe they don't want it, but if they didn't want it, they can put it back in, I guess. But maybe Councillor Greenlaw?
No, I think I agree with Councillor Heiss up there with regards to the committee of the whole, to get the information and get the feedback, you know, prior to actually voting on something. I feel that any feedback from the community is valuable in any format. And for a one-on-one or for an email to be sent to council has a different effect than somebody getting up there at the podium. And I think that has a much stronger effect, and that's why I think the public likes it, wants it. And I think we actually need that. In fact, I think we actually need to do that and keep it, but we also need to do more town halls. so that there's a constant conversation and back and forth between the constituents and council. And that makes us better aware of everything, right? And that's my opinion. I think we can control that session. It's 10 minutes, it's 2 minutes per person. There's rules around it, and the rules need to be enforced. I know sometimes it's tough, because, I mean, I've sat in your seat there once, and I had a hard time, holding people to the 2 minutes. But I think if we do that, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, maybe I can add a little bit to this. I began my little career here in 2004. I've had people come to my door. I've had people that I meet on the street ask me out for coffee. I never have turned my phone off, my ringer off. People call me all the time. I don't know what it is about me. Maybe it's just because I've been here for so long. But people do come to me, they do come to my door, and they do come to my house. And they do listen, like when I tell them. Like this afternoon, after this particular letter went out today, I had 2 phone calls, and I said, well, hell, I got to read it first. But anyway, I think that if you keep pushing people, like you've only been here a couple of years, but I mean, if you've been here as long as Al and I have been here, just tell people, come to my door, I'll make you a coffee. I'll take you out for coffee, I'll do this, I'll do that. And you'll find that, that they will come.
Yes, I mean, I find it's open-ended, and as Wade alluded to, it is difficult when you're sitting here and something is said, and it, like I said, it deserves more dialogue, and I struggle with that, and the citizens struggle with it because it's open-ended. It kind of ends there, and it's just dead air, and then we just go into our meeting again. But the town halls are justified, but we keep talking about it, but it's so hard to find the time to commit, because that involves a lot of people as well to get that on. But I don't disagree. I like town halls because you can just sit there and you can be yourself and have conversation. You haven't got all the procedures in place. But go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
Yeah, and just as you're speaking about, maybe this isn't the right time to make changes and whatnot. One benefit of maintaining the current system for now. Is also with the asset that's coming on stream next week with our communications officer. One of the tasks that he's being given is not only to do the comms, but also to orchestrate public engagement on a more frequent basis. So it gives us enough chance to stand up something else alongside the consideration of what's happening in this chamber. And as you said, where's the benefit? How do we grow the confidence levels? I think if we allow Mr. Ferguson the chance to build his repertoire and his approach to community communication, community engagement, using different tools and different things to get feedback into things, it may be that we find that whether it's a town hall meeting is appropriate or some other mechanism that this new expert brings to bear, we may have a better chance, a different way of gathering a lot of that information. You probably still have people that want to come here, and whether that's through a registration process or whatever. But I think it gives you a chance to stand up the new tools alongside the current tool before you decide whether you want to phase out or change the current tool. So I think from an administrative point of view, I can see where the dialogue about possibly not doing anything right now would be advantageous to Mr. Ferguson, who starts next week.
Council Cornish. Sorry.
Greenlaw's good. Okay.
That's what you're going to say.
I read several emails today of people concerned about this same subject, and I thought a lot about it, but I just want to say this about that, is that I do agree with Councillor Highslip. I agree with all of us right now. It's the thing is, we've got another 4 months to go. I'm not sure we should put in rules and regulations and let the new council decide their way they want to manage it. The word was used here a couple of times, control. I think the word is manage these sessions. Now, before Christmas, Jeff arranged 3 meetings. No, excuse me, yeah. Planning Commission presented one. It lasted about 3 hours. It was a bit hectic at the beginning, and it was well managed by Alex Henderson, who was a professional facilitator, but it could have gone the wrong way. The next couple were public meetings. One lasted 10 minutes because it got out of hand within the first 3, and the mayor handled it in the right way. The next one we had was held by Jeff, I forget the actual title of it, Jeff. We were looking at future growth, the different things in the town that need to be addressed, and it was attended very well. Now, the last session, there was a tool used that you were able to manage us and the public with. And I forget the name of it. You might want to throw it out there.
Mentimeter.
What is it?
Mentimeter.
Mentimeter? It was also used at the planning session that was held in Fredericton on harassment. Very effective tool. So I think with some of the things coming up, if it's a major item rather than a 1 or 2 minute item, some of these things could be addressed by the use of new technology, which worked very, very well in both those circumstances. And one of the big things is out there, and it was quite evident meeting with most of the mayors and councilors around the province, is basically what David alluded to is harassment. No matter what tools you have, trying to control it, probably not. How to manage it, you do your best. But a lot of the situations out there now due to public media, Facebook, whatever you want to call it, are really discouraging people from running for councils or any other positions, because no matter if you make a decision you think it's right, someone thinks it's wrong, then sometimes it gets very much blown out of proportion. So myself, I'd rather see the new council decide how they want to manage it. And if they want advice from the old people that have been around here for a while, we certainly would be willing to help them out. But my recommendation would be to let sleeping dogs lie right now and turn it over to the new council when they're elected.
Deputy Mayor?
I guess I agree that we should just leave it alone for now. And I go way back, like with Dave. And like I said, when we started on council, I mean, it wasn't televised. And public came, whenever there was an issue or whatever, they would come and we'd have even public discussion right there. And life went on. And in my working career, I mean, it was the same thing. People called you or you set up meeting one-on-one. And even today, I don't really feel comfortable like going on social media and making comments. I mean, I like to hear what people have to say. And then sometimes, I mean, somebody comes up with they make a comment and like it'll change my opinion of things. And I mean, life is certainly different. Like in the last 20 years, there's been big changes. And so I think that we need to leave it as it is, and maybe the new council will come up, because I can guarantee you that 1 year from now, life will be different than it is today, right? At the rate it's moving.
All right, well, I mean, in the end, I mean, the staff was asked to put something together for us, and they put it together for us. You know, they did the research. It's there. So my understanding is the feeling around the board table here is leave it alone? Completely alone? Yeah.
On the administrative side, what we'll do is we'll take the dialogue and the commentary, and we'll talk to that new council orientation. We'll have that conversation when we go through the procedural bylaw about what is the current bylaw and talk about if there's any potential changes that they want to make. So the discussion won't get lost. The options won't get lost. The work that's been done to date won't get lost. But it'll just be, we'll just put it into the new council orientation program, and if they can make the decision at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to mention this because just to keep in mind, we do have an election coming, and that podium could be abused. So just putting that out there. That could be challenging. In my seat, it will be. But
Can I just make
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm like Marg. I do have people call me. As a matter of fact, today I had somebody in my kitchen having coffee, and I like doing that, even if they don't agree with you, right? We can agree to disagree, right? But and I think there's a lot of people, especially in my generation, would not feel comfortable coming here and going to the podium, right? But they will talk to you, right? Yeah. So. And I welcome it, and I'm telling people out there, if you want to call, you want to meet somewhere, I'm open to it. So, thank you.
said, I'm seriously good either way myself. I just want what's better for the community, because like I said, I'm going to be gone here in 4 months, and I'd like to see it flourish after I'm gone. But anyway, all right, so we will drop that for now, or for this term. Now we got the draft amendment to bylaw 0423 Code of Conduct for members of council. You certainly can.
So this bylaw is being brought forward. It's the result of a decision of the Local Governance Commission that I think we forwarded around to all of you, relating to code of conduct and processing of complaints. The commission, in its wisdom, has made a clarification statement banning the decision-making or much of the dialogue around any code of conduct complaints from being held in closed, which is common practice across Canada, to be perfectly honest with you. But as a result of their decision, we had to go through our bylaw and make sure and remove any references to closed session, with the exception of solicitor advice / the results of an investigator's report, which is generally done by a solicitor and qualifies. So that's we were trying to clean up here. I know Councillor Wright provided us some other commentary about general flow of sections, which we're reviewing. But just so you know, we're going to have to bring this to council. As you say, you only have a few meetings left, and to get a bylaw amendment through, we need half of your meetings that are left. So you just wanted to give you a first look and explanation about why this is coming up. It's not an administrative directive, other than it's coming from the Local Governance Commission. So we're working through that process to make sure that our bylaws are clear and remain compliant with their directions. So you'll see this in a couple weeks after we're going to evaluate a couple of Councillor Wright's comments. So if you do have comments outside of these amendments, feel free to send them our way. We're always happy to review those as we're redrafting.
Councillor Greenlaw?
Just in one section there, and you can ask the commission this, in section 4.2, it says the members shall be familiar with and comply with all applicable federal and provincial legislation, including but not limited to. And they talk about the Local Governance Act and so on and so forth. So how do they propose to ensure that we're familiar with that, right? Like, is that part of where they're talking about training?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's part of where they're talking about training. It's, we do our best as we're, again, Councillor Wright picked up from Councillor Eastman's work on the new council orientation program that we're building in-house. We are spending time at our internal orientation program as well on some of those key items to make sure that we can walk through, and then at the end of the orientation we can get a sign off that yes, I've had at least the basics reviewed with me. It's still incumbent upon you as members to do some work on your own, but we do have an internal process to help with that as well.
Okay. I mean, okay, so review a bylaw L-2, a bylaw to license and regulate peddlers, vendors, transient traders, and buskers. You certainly can again.
So this has been on a to-do list for a little while. It's an old bylaw that honestly has not aged overly well, and of particular interest, and what has particularly brought it back up to the surface, is the food truck industry. And back years ago, probably just after I started here, council kind of got their first taste of a food truck showing up and looking for a permit. And the council of the day said, well, stick it under the transient trader bylaw and manage it as best you can under that. It's kind of putting a square peg in a round hole, honestly, but we did the best we could. We're getting more and more food trucks coming. Obviously, that creates concerns with our local restaurants and things like that, and how do you manage that? So as Celeste and I have put a fair bit of work into looking at bylaw L2, my proposal would be to replace bylaw L2 with 3 distinct bylaws, each addressing a different element that kind of got meshed together in that bylaw, which is what's before you. So that you'd have a specific one relating to busking and street performance, a specific one relating to transient traders, and a specific one relating to food trucks. Because food trucks are becoming such a common thing across Canada and across New Brunswick, we're seeing more and more regulation of how they operate, what kind of permits, how much a permit costs for it to operate, and the ability and whether or not where they can set up, whether that's, you probably don't want a food truck immediately in the parking lot beside Carmen's Diner, say, just from from a fairness perspective. So this is here for first look and comment, but I think this is a much more efficient way to manage these elements, and we're looking forward to any feedback you may have as we continue our drafting process.
So in the wording of I'll just stick to the food truck one because that's a sensitive one. Are our bylaws going to be effective on private property? Are you going to lean that way, or are we going to lean that way? Because there is certain, like there's sometimes we've put some stipulations in place and they just go and get on the anyway, I'll start in a public or private parking or private property.
So the operations that have been working from private property over the last couple of years, they do get permits from us. They have lower restrictions. If they're working from municipal property, we require more insurance than we would if they're on private property, because that's a deal between them and the landowner. But they have been getting permits. They're very, very, very cheap permits. So this would still apply. You'd still require a permit from the municipality and things like that. But same rules. It would be slightly different elements based on whether you're on our property and we're inheriting some liability potentially from your operation, as opposed to if you happen to be on the Charlotte County Mall property, and that liability is between you and that landowner and whatever agreements you guys have put in place.
Yeah, just something to consider, because I see this going on. Like I'll just I won't name the name of the town, but they have a microbrewery, for example, and they don't sell food, but they have events every weekend, and they bring in a different food truck. Is there going to be, like, I don't think we have that business right now, but it's possible we could. Is there going to be some lenience, or?
There will be special permits obtainable for special events, whether that's Michelle needing things for whatever festival that, we may even one day decide to have a food truck festival and try and bring in lots of different nationalities of food. Who knows? But though there will be a section of the bylaw that says, okay, in the event of a special permit, it's good for 24, 48 hours. It costs this much, or if it's under us, we may not charge a permit fee because you're enhancing our event. So yeah, but yes, there would be special case things for special events. I mean, you might bring in your favorite food truck for your kid's graduation party, right? And it's only going to be there 6 hours or whatever. Like I think with the bylaw, whatever bylaw we end up with needs to be malleable in that sense. But also needs to have to a degree, a protectionist element to it for our taxpayers, our ratepayers that have invested in bricks and mortar in this community. So I think there has to be, the opportunity to do new things once in a while, but also, look after our locals as well.
I don't disagree. No, there's got to be a balance. Oh, sorry, Councilor Wright.
Thank you, Jeff. I like the idea of separating our archaic bylaw into the 3. I think the food truck draft bylaw is good. I would never vote for something that, personally, that prohibits them. Communities that had prohibited them in the past are now opening up to allow them. And certainly I know it's not an option in this one, but if the conversation was, should we even allow them? Well, if I didn't want to eat at X restaurant, bricks and mortar, and I wanted a takeout style meal, I'd just go somewhere else if the food truck weren't here. And it's nice to expose our citizens to the taste of food that they may not get and that we don't have in our town. So I really enjoy that opportunity. I think this one is great. I noticed that this draft one didn't have suggested fees. Is that something, or if they did, I missed them, is that something that's going to be a separate conversation if we adopt this?
Yeah, when we bring a first official draft, we will have a fee structure in there. It was more, basically we'll do an environmental scan of what other people are doing, because that kind of does set called the market rate for a food truck permit, whether our friends in St. Andrews or Woodstock or whoever, because these same trucks travel around. And you don't want to be the lowest man on the totem pole, but you probably don't want to be the highest one either. So we'll try and figure out the market rate and figure out where in that market we want to sit.
Councilor Heislip?
I looked at the busking one there and just the wording in that about public places and designated places, and that might have to be cleaned up a little bit, because the ones I see busking now is usually at the Superstore or in front of Giant Tiger, and those areas are not owned by the municipality, so they're not considered public places. But it says also down there, it says in a designated places as, so you can't really designate somebody else's owned place. You can designate places in the public that we have control over, because that's the definition. So that might have to be cleaned up a little bit, that verbiage in that.
Yeah, that's a good point. These are preliminary drafts, and that's a good point about the difference between private property and again, we may want to permit them and all that kind of stuff, but how those designated areas work, we can clean that up as we proceed on the drafting.
Councilor Greenlaw?
Yeah, just on the food truck, on all of them actually, just make it very clear who makes the call on each of these decisions. And then, like for instance, and I read it, but I didn't read, I usually have to read something 3 or 4 times before it sinks in. I doze off a little bit every once in a while. But when it comes to a local, like a local vendor, like say for instance, one of the deli wants to set up a food truck at, down near the waterfront during the festival, so people don't have to go the whole way down. A little bit different rules around somebody that's got a brick and mortar that also has a food truck, so that's just something to consider.
Interesting.
Yeah. Different rate. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut now and then, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I guess you're ready to roll there on that. Yep.
Keep going with the drafting and refining before we move to the council. Yeah.
All right. I'll take that pursuant to Section 68, Bracket 1, the Local Governments Act, council move to closed session for the purpose of discussing, number 1, personal matter. That's it. Councilor Wright, Councilor Harding, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none. We're now going to closed.